I end with some positive news. If you've been following, I have been covering the Bayou Bridge pipeline. That is another Energy Transfer Partners gem down in the Bayou in Louisiana. It is the last piece of the Dakota Access Pipeline. It's a piece that they're building so they could get the crude oil in the pipeline to export terminals to sell to other countries so that Energy Transfer Partners can get richer and then pay off the politicians both in the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. So here's the deal. You have water protectors down there who have been violently arrested. If you've watched my videos, there were arrests last week. They were pinned to the ground. They almost broke this woman's arm. They were arresting these individuals on private, and by the way, they arresting them are private mercenaries for the oil company. They're not even actual police. They're private mercenaries, like we saw at the Dakota Access Pipeline, that had its own private mercenaries making up and breaking the laws as they went. They're arresting water protectors who are on private property and have the permission of the landowner to be on that property. You know who doesn't have the permission to be on that property? Energy Transfer Partners, or anyone connected to Energy Transfer Partners, the very individuals that are arresting the water protectors that do. So, but in, our justice system, who the hell matters? We side with the oil company. So these water protectors, including a journalist who I interviewed, Karen Savage, have been charged with felonies because of Louisiana's new ALEC-inspired laws that make it a felony if you protest a, quote, critical infrastructure project, which these pipelines are claimed to be. So, I believe it was, what's today? Tuesday. Yeah. Over the weekend, an injunction was approved to halt construction on this private property land. So, Bayou Bridge Pipeline, Energy Transfer Partners, cannot construct anymore on this private property. A legal challenge from, I always mess this up, Atchafalaya River Basin landowners and environmental groups has temporarily halted construction of the controversial Bayou Bridge Pipeline. On Monday, the 10th, a judge was scheduled to hear the case of St. Mary Parish landowners who filed an injunction against builders of the pipeline, which they say would cross their property illegally. But just before the hearing, Texas-based Energy Transfer Partners, which is constructing the pipeline jointly with Phillips 66, by the way, the largest investor in Phillips 66, one Warren Buffett, who the media hands out blowjobs to. Well, not literally, but you get my point. Came to an agreement with landowners that effectively stopped construction on a key section of the route. It's a huge victory and a blow to Bayou Bridge, said Ann Rolfes of Louisiana Bucket Brigade, one of the groups opposed to the pipeline. The proposed 162-mile pipeline would run from St. James to Lake Charles, with portions crossing the ecologically sensitive Atchafalaya Basin. And I'm mispronouncing that, my apologies. The pipeline would link to Energy Transfer's Dakota Access Pipeline and the oil fields in North Dakota. The injunction was filed in July after members of the Atchafalaya Basin Keeper, a preservation group, noticed pipeline workers cutting trees and digging trenches on a 38-acre marshland in St. Mary. The property's owners, which includes Peter Alistad and other members of his family, had not granted access to the property and opposed the pipeline's construction through the basin, which contains one of the largest swamps in North America. Energy Transfer Partner contends that it is the right to build on private property through expropriation, a process similar to eminent domain that allows private companies to take property for the public benefit. They can say this is for the public good and can take property, Ralph has said. That's pretty shocking. So, in America, if you say something's for the public good and the judges and politicians that you've bought off agree, you can steal anybody's property and build a ticking time bomb right the hell under them. Land of the free, shining city on a hill, they say. So, for now, the injunction has been granted. They're still building on other parts of the pipeline, other parts of the path, but right here, they have to stop. Now, a lot of times, pipeline companies are ordered to stop construction in specific areas, And what do? They completely blow off the ruling and the judge because they know they're going to lose more money by stopping construction than they would just to pay the, drop in a bucket fine that they're going to get. Because these oil companies, when they break the law, when they don't obey judges' rulings, they don't see criminal charges, they don't see jail time, they don't see sanctions against their company where they lose licenses. They just pay a fine, which is nothing compared to the billions they have to make. It's all a sick game. There's laws for indigenous people. There's laws for other water protectors. There's laws for African Americans. Well, and there's laws for oil companies, banks, and corporations. The laws for oil companies, banks, and corporations are flexible, shall we say. The laws for everybody else are invented out of thin air. Think about this. They're arresting people on land where they have permission to be on, the people being arrested, and charging them with felonies, but the police have no standing or permission to be on that land. And they're not even actual police. They're private mercenaries of an oil company. But the police had been bought off in Louisiana and North Dakota. We saw Energy Transfer literally pay, I believe it was $10 to $15 million back to the police department or law enforcement. Give me a fucking break. So, Bayou Bridge Pipeline is one of the stories that we are doing this GoFundMe for, so we can get out there down in the bayou. Can you imagine Ty and I in the swamps of Louisiana? You ready for that, Ty?
I've never been in Louisiana yet.
Yeah. So
I ain't going in no swamp.
You're not going in no swamps? So for the time being, temporary injunction on this private property. I will follow up as far as these felony charges against water protectors that had the very permission of the landowners to be on their land. So did the journalist that was arrested. But in Louisiana and North Dakota and now Nebraska, where Keystone's going to be rebuilt, there's laws and then there's laws. So the laws are for the oil companies, the police, and then the laws that are made up are for everyone else. So, United States of Oil, United Corporations of America.
There are laws and then there are alternative laws.
Right. Oh, as they say, alternative facts, alternative laws. Yeah. That's a new one. We should make a shirt out of that. So, as I always say, folks, the majority of people in this country are compassionate, but most people don't know what the fuck's going on.